Ah yes, Tears of the Kingdom, a game that still causes confusion and heated discussion among fans. And now that the Switch 2 edition of the game has been out for a few months, I feel like it's time to try my hand at finding the answers to some of the questions that are the cause of such discussions. Hello everyone and welcome to Silver Rooster. Let's get started with the common question of, what happened to all the Sheikah technology from Breath of the Wild? This technology is arguably the most important part of Breath of the Wild, as without the Guardians, Calamity Ganon wouldn't have created a ruined Hyrule in the first place, all of Link's items are tied to his Sheikah slate, and the Divine Beasts that serve as the game's main dungeons. Despite all of this, there's no mention of this technology anywhere in Tears. From the shrines you completed to the Guardians you defeated, it's all just gone. So what gives? Where did all of this amazing technology go? Well, the answer to this question isn't what one would call satisfying, but we did get an official answer. According to Hidemaru Fujibayashi, I think I said that right, they disappeared after the Calamity was defeated. All of the people of Hyrule also witnessed this, but there is no one who knows the mechanism or reason why they disappeared, and it is considered a mystery. It is believed that since the Calamity disappeared, they also disappeared, as their role had been fulfilled. So yeah, from the mouth of the game director himself, it all just poofed away. All those shrines you completed? Gone. Those guardians? Gone. The Sheikah slate? Gone. Divine beasts? Gone. All of it is gone. The only thing left that shows the Sheikah technology ever existed in the first place is this reverse engineered one on top of Robbie's lab. Nintendo actually did double down on this in a way. With the Switch 2 edition of Tears of the Kingdom, we were gifted these new voice memories, which are voice-acted stories that further expand on the game's lore. So from Zelda herself...
It seems that when the Calamity was defeated, all of the ancient relics here at the Hiteno Ancient Tech Lab turned to dust and disappeared. All that remains are replicas of the originals, and with those gone, these are even more valuable. They will doubtlessly help tell future generations of the history of Hyrule.
So we can either say they disappeared or all crumbled into dust. Either way, it's underwhelming, but that's what they're sticking with, so we'll just have to accept it. The next question I'd like to focus on is, why do none of the NPCs seem to know who Link is? After everything he accomplished in Breath of the Wild, you'd think the hero would have more renown, but no, almost everyone you come across in Tears of the Kingdom acts like they're meeting Link for the first time. Unfortunately, we don't have an official answer for this, so we'll have to speculate. And sadly, my speculation isn't exactly the most satisfying, but it's what makes sense to me. Personally, I think the simple reason for this is that none of the side quests in Breath of the Wild are canon to Tears of the Kingdom. Essentially, I think that from Link's perspective, all Breath of the Wild is, he woke up, cleared the Great Plateau, went to Kakariko Village, regained his memory and freed the Divine Beasts, drew the Master Sword, defeated Calamity Ganon, and that's it. This would explain the lack of familiarity between Link and any NPCs not tied to the main quest. An outside of game reason could be just simply convenience for players who didn't play Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom was released 6 years later after all, and to me personally, it seems Nintendo tries to keep the series vague enough for any game to be an entry point to the series, but I'd love to hear your answers in the comments below. Lastly, let's talk about this.
What an unexpected answer. We are the king and queen who founded Hyrule, after all.
A major plotline in Tears of the Kingdom is Zelda getting sent ages into the past and meeting Rauru and Sonia, the founders and first king and queen of Hyrule. This was cause for confusion as, following what we know to be the established lore, Hyrule was established sometime after the events of Skyward Sword, presumably by the descendants of the Link and Zelda of that era. Some have interpreted the past of Tears of the Kingdom as events happening between Skyward Sword and Minish Cap. However, what we see in Tears of the Kingdom's past flashbacks can't possibly be the founding of Hyrule that takes place after Skyward Sword, as it would create a mess of inconsistencies in the established lore. We'd be here all day if I explained every way the lore would crumble if these were, in fact, the same foundings. So I'll just provide what I believe to be one of the strongest examples, and that's the fact that in Tears of the Kingdom's flashbacks, we see a race that doesn't exist during the founding of Hyrule after Skyward Sword. You've probably already guessed that I'm talking about the Rito, who came into existence after the Great Flood, which takes place well after the first Hyrule was founded. That alone is enough for me to conclude that these foundings are of two different kingdoms, both called Hyrule. Others that have come to this conclusion use this plotline as proof that the Switch titles are supposed to be a separate continuity. Well, I can confidently say that that isn't the case either. I went over this once before in my timeline video, which you should check out after this one, by the way, but we've been given official confirmation on more than one occasion that both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are part of the timeline. So how do we explain how we witnessed the founding of Hyrule in Tears of the Kingdom when we already have what is clearly a different founding of the kingdom through Skyward Sword? There's actually a few ways we can explain this, but I'll just go with the easiest one, and that's looking at Breath of the Wild's lore book, Creating a Champion. To put it simply, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom happen so incomprehensibly far into the future that everything prior is inconsequential. In fact, everything that happens on the timeline before Breath of the Wild is referred to as the era of myth. That's actually the reason why Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom aren't actually placed on a timeline and just kind of put at the end of everything but never confirmed to be on one, is because that they're so far in the future means that it doesn't really matter what happened in the past anymore. Following this logic, it's my belief that despite Zelda going back countless ages in time in Tears of the Kingdom, the past events she witnessed with Rauru and Sonia are still an unfathomable amount of time into the future from the rest of the series, taking place well after the Kingdom of Hyrule had long been forgotten. And Rauru, alongside Sonia, just built a new one. After all, it's not like we haven't seen Hyrule destroyed and rebuilt before. I mean, the kingdom is literally called New Hyrule in Spirit Tracks. I guess that means if you're someone who chooses to have Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom take place on the adult timeline, I guess what Rauru and Sonia create is technically New Hyrule. Come to think of it, Hyrule's destruction is actually disturbingly consistent throughout the series. But once again, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. With that, all I have left to say is, love you, mean it, click. Well everybody, we've reached the end card. If I've kept your attention for this long, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for me. If I've kept your attention for this long, I'd say I've earned it. I try to get these videos out at least once a month, but as most of you may know, I have a newborn at home now, so we'll see. I'll get these out whenever I can. Just to give you an idea of what's coming up next, I got a Pokemon video coming up, and then, of course, Chapter 2 of the History of Fire Emblem. Really should be prioritizing that one. Anyway, that's about all, so you guys enjoy the rest of your day.